First contact fallout. The grand chamber of the Galactic Council fell silent as High Arbiter Vexilon moved to the central podium. His crystalline exoskeleton sparkled under the chamber's artificial starlight as he addressed the 500 representatives from across the known galaxy. Esteemed members of the Council, he began, his translator converting his harmonic speech patterns into standard galactic common. We face an unprecedented situation. Our observational outpost in System 82,759 has confirmed what our preliminary scans suggested. The third planet orbiting the unremarkable yellow star harbors intelligent life that has developed rudimentary spaceflight. Murmurs spread through the chamber. New species were discovered with relative frequency, but rarely did they warrant emergency council sessions. I present to you Ambassador Thielen of the Science Directorate. Vexilon continued, gesturing to a slender being whose silver skin rippled like liquid mercury. Thielen glided forward, activating the holographic display at the center of the chamber. A blue-green planet appeared, rotating slowly to reveal continental landmasses divided by vast oceans. They call themselves humans and their planet Earth, Thielen explained. While they have only recently achieved orbit and reached their planetary satellite, their technological advancement rate is concerning. The hologram shifted to display a timeline of human development. Starting with basic tools, it rapidly progressed through agricultural revolution, industrial development, digital technology, and finally, nascent space exploration. What concerns us, Thielen continued, is not where they are, but how quickly they've arrived there. Their technological progression has outpaced every known species by a factor of at least 3. More alarming is their approach to advancement. The display showed images of human warfare, from primitive conflicts to modern military exercises. Humans develop their most impressive technologies in response to conflict. Their weapons advance faster than their medicine. Their military spacecraft were designed before their civilian transports. They do not follow the standard evolutionary pattern of cooperation before expansion. Elder Zurak of the Hegemony Security Council rose from his seat, his massive frame dwarfing those around him. Are you suggesting these humans pose a threat to galactic security? They haven't even achieved faster than light travel. Thielen's silver skin pulsed with blue bands, an indication of extreme caution among his kind. Our predictive models suggest they will develop FTL capability within 50 standard cycles, less than half the time it took any council species, and they will do so without the temperance and wisdom that typically accompany such advancement. The chamber erupted in concerned chatter. 50 cycles was nothing in galactic terms, barely time to draft proper diplomatic protocols. I propose immediate intervention. Thielen continued once the noise subsided. We must extend an invitation to Earth to join the Galactic Protectorate. This will place appropriate restrictions on their development while introducing them to galactic civilization in a controlled manner. High Arbiter Vexilon's crystalline appendages clicked together in agreement. The motion will be put to vote. The Council will reconvene in one standard cycle to discuss the results and plan our approach to Earth. As the session ended, few noticed Ambassador Kuntera of the Vorjan Enclave downloading all available information on humans. Something about these creatures sparked her curiosity. Between official meetings, she studied the files with growing interest. Humans were remarkably adaptable, surviving in environments from Arctic tundra to scorching deserts. Their genetic diversity was unusually high for a single species. Most fascinating was their psychological profile. They exhibited both extreme tribalism and startling acts of self-sacrifice for strangers. They created art of breathtaking beauty, then used the same creativity to design more efficient weapons. Most concerning to Kuntera was their response to constraints. Unlike rational species that accepted necessary limitations, humans often rebelled against restrictions, even beneficial ones. 3 cycles later, Kuntera stood at attention in Grand Admiral Zurak's command chamber aboard the Council's diplomatic vessel approaching Earth. The vote had been decisive. Earth would be offered protectorate status, with or without their consent. "The transmission is ready, Ambassador Thielen," announced the communications officer. Thielen stood before the recording array, his silver skin now perfectly smooth and formal. "People of Earth, I am Ambassador Thielen of the Galactic Council. Our existence may come as a shock, but be assured we come in peace. We have observed your civilization and wish to officially invite Earth to join the Galactic Protectorate." The message continued, outlining the benefits of Protectorate status: access to certain approved technologies, limited trade rights, and cultural exchange, while carefully omitting the severe restrictions on independent development, particularly regarding propulsion and weapons systems. On Earth, chaos erupted as the massive council ships appeared in orbit. Emergency sirens wailed across cities worldwide as military forces scrambled. World leaders were rushed to secure locations while civilians flooded social media with images of the alien vessels. In the United Nations emergency session, Secretary General Maya Chen gripped the edge of the table. "What are our options, General?" General Hector Rodriguez, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, shook his head grimly. "Limited, Madam Secretary. Our most advanced weapons might as well be slingshots against those ships." The answer to humanity's situation came moments later as every screen worldwide simultaneously showed the same image: Ambassador Thielen's silver face. After the transmission ended, Secretary General Chen's expression hardened. "Get me a direct link to whatever passes for a diplomat on those ships." Kuntera received the communication request. "Grand Admiral, the humans wish to establish dialogue." Zurak rumbled in amusement. "As expected. Allow it." Kuntera opened the channel, watching as the human leader appeared on screen. She looked fragile, with no natural armor or obvious enhancements, yet her posture conveyed unmistakable authority. "This is Secretary General Chen of the United Nations. We acknowledge your message and request a face-to-face meeting to discuss these terms in detail." 3 days later, the Council delegation sat across from Earth's representatives in a hastily prepared conference room at the United Nations headquarters in New York. The terms of the Protectorate Agreement lay between them, translated into Earth's major languages. "These restrictions on our development are unacceptable," stated Dr. Abhinaya Patel, Earth's chief scientific advisor. "You're essentially asking us to halt all meaningful aerospace and defense research." Ambassador Thielen's skin rippled with impatience. "The restrictions are for your own protection. Many young species destroy themselves when advanced technologies are acquired too quickly." Commander Kira Harper, head of Earth's Space Force, leaned forward. "And what happens if we decline your generous offer?" Thielen's skin briefly flashed red. "That would be unwise. The Council has unanimously voted to incorporate Earth into the Protectorate. Your cooperation simply determines whether this transition will be smooth or difficult." Secretary General Chen stood, her voice steady despite the implicit threat. "Then we must respectfully decline. Earth will determine its own destiny." The Council representatives exchanged glances of genuine shock. No species had ever rejected Protectorate status. "You misunderstand," Grand Admiral Zurak rumbled. "This is not a negotiation. It is a courtesy notification." "No," Chen replied firmly. "You misunderstand. Humanity will not surrender its sovereignty. If the Council wishes to engage with Earth, it must be as equals, not masters and subjects." As the Earth delegation departed, Kuntera approached Thielen privately. This reaction was predictable based on their psychological profile. "Perhaps we should reconsider our approach. Their defiance changes nothing," Thielen dismissed. "The Council has spoken. Prepare the blockade ships." Within hours, a fleet of Council vessels surrounded Earth, establishing a quarantine field that would prevent any human spacecraft from traveling beyond their moon. The Galactic Council had spoken. Humanity would be contained until they accepted their place in the galactic order. What the Council failed to understand was that containment was exactly the wrong approach to take with humans. In an underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Commander Kira Harper addressed a room of the world's best scientists, engineers, and military strategists. Displayed on the main screen was a detailed analysis of the Council ship's energy signatures and communication patterns. They expect us to either submit or rage impotently against their blockade, Harper said, pacing before the assembled experts. We're going to do neither. Dr. Cheng, what have you learned about their communication systems? Dr. Min Cheng, a quantum physicist who had been analyzing the alien transmissions, stood. Their ships use a form of quantum entanglement for instantaneous communication across vast distances. Ingenious, but not without vulnerabilities. There's a pattern to their entanglement frequencies that suggests a centralized control mechanism. Harper nodded. And the propulsion systems. Dr. Ibrahim Nasser, an aerospace engineer, pulled up detailed scans. They use a field manipulation system that bends spacetime. Extremely advanced, but it creates a specific gravitational signature. More importantly, these ships are designed for deep space. They are actually quite cumbersome in Earth's gravity well. Harper smiled for the first time since the Council ships arrived. Ladies and gentlemen, they believe they've trapped us. But they've made a critical error. They've given us access to their technology, while simultaneously providing us with the motivation to understand it faster than any species in their experience. She pulled up a holographic display of Earth and the blockading ships. I'm proposing Operation Starbridge. We won't fight the Council directly. That's what they expect. Instead, we're going to use their own network against them. As Harper outlined her plan, expressions around the room transformed from skepticism to cautious hope. It was audacious, possibly suicidal, but thoroughly human in its ingenuity. They think they're studying us, Harper concluded. Let's show them just how dangerous that can be. Operation Starbridge. Aboard the Council blockade ship Immutable Law, Junior Technician Zevnar monitored the quantum communication array with the bored efficiency of someone performing a routine task. Earth had been under quarantine for 60 standard cycles, and nothing interesting had happened for the past 59. The humans occasionally sent up small craft to test the blockade's limits, but these pathetic attempts were easily rebuffed. Most Council members viewed the Earth assignment as a punishment posting, endless cycles of watching primitives scurry about their planet. Zevnar's attention drifted as he calibrated the array's frequency modulators. The humans had gone suspiciously quiet in recent cycles. Their space launches had decreased, and their global communications showed a curious pattern of normalization, as if they'd simply accepted their containment. A small fluctuation caught his attention. A momentary spike in the quantum field. He frowned, running a diagnostic. Everything appeared normal, yet something felt off. He made a notation in the ship's log and continued his shift, unaware he had just witnessed the first phase of Operation Starbridge. 100 meters beneath the Atacama Desert, Dr. Cheng watched as her quantum interface successfully mimicked the Council's communication patterns for the third consecutive test. The device, cobbled together from Council technology salvaged from a damaged scout ship and human quantum computing, was functioning beyond their most optimistic projections. The phantom signal is holding, she reported to Commander Harper, who observed from the command center. They're not detecting our intrusion into their network. Harper nodded, her expression intense. Begin Phase 2. Across Earth, similar facilities activated specialized equipment designed to interface with the Council's quantum communication network. Rather than attempting to break their advanced encryption, Operation Starbridge exploited a more fundamental vulnerability, the Council's absolute confidence in the security of their system. They weren't looking for intruders because they believed intrusion to be impossible. In low Earth orbit, 5 specially modified satellites simultaneously broadcasted precisely calibrated signals toward the blockade ships. The signals themselves were harmless, merely complicated patterns of radiation, but they created a subtle interference pattern in the ship's quantum fields. This interference wasn't enough to disrupt communications, but it created microscopic anomalies in the quantum entanglement process, anomalies that Dr. Cheng's team could exploit. "We're in," announced Dr. Nasser, watching as Council data began flowing through their systems. Commencing data extraction. For 3 days, Operation Starbridge harvested information from the Council network. Star charts, technological specifications, cultural databases, and, most critically, the location of the central Council hub where the communication network was controlled. Then, inevitably, they were discovered. On the Council hub, Grand Architect Pelvorin stared at the security alert with disbelief. "Impossible," she whispered, her feathered crest rising in alarm. "The quantum network has been compromised." She immediately summoned Grand Admiral Zurak, who arrived with Ambassador Thielen in tow. "The humans?" Zurak demanded, his massive frame tense with barely controlled rage. Pelvorin nodded, her talons clicking against the console as she displayed the evidence. "They've somehow created a phantom node in our network. They've been accessing restricted data for at least 3 cycles." Thielen's silver skin darkened to a stormy gray. "This confirms our worst fears. Their technological adaptability is unprecedented. What have they accessed?" Pelvorin's crest flattened in distress. "Everything. Star charts, technological databases, and the hub's coordinates." Zurak slammed a massive appendage against the wall, leaving a dent in the reinforced material. "Dispatch the 7th Fleet to Earth immediately. This quarantine has failed. We must implement more direct measures." As alarms blared throughout the hub, Quintera, now promoted to senior ambassador, entered the chamber. "Before we commit to military action, perhaps we should consider what this development actually represents." Zurak turned his imposing bulk toward her. "It represents a security breach of the highest order." "It represents innovation," Quintera countered calmly. "They didn't break our encryption. They found a way around it. No species has ever attempted such an approach before. All the more reason to contain them more aggressively," Thielen argued. Quintera tilted her head. "Or all the more reason to reassess our approach entirely." Her words went unheeded. The 7th Fleet, 20 warships equipped with the Council's most advanced weapons, departed for Earth with orders to neutralize any human resistance and implement direct control protocols. On Earth, Commander Harper received news of the approaching fleet with grim satisfaction. "They're reacting exactly as predicted. Initiate Phase 3. As the Council fleet emerged from FTL at the edge of the solar system, they encountered nothing. No defensive fleet, no weapons platforms, not even increased communications chatter from the planet. "This is suspicious," muttered Fleet Commander Draz, his compound eyes scanning the tactical display. "Begin approach, but maintain maximum alert status." As the fleet moved toward Earth, sensors detected small objects accelerating from the planet's surface. Primitive missiles, barely worth noting. Draz ordered minimal point defense response, not wanting to waste energy on such insignificant threats. The missiles detonated well before reaching the fleet, creating expanding clouds of what appeared to be metallic dust. Draz dismissed them as failed attempts at resistance. Minutes later, the fleet's systems began failing. First communications, then propulsion, finally life support. The metallic dust, actually trillions of microscopic robots based on recovered Council nanotechnology, had infiltrated the ships through their energy field vents, specifically targeting crucial systems. "Impossible," whispered Draz as his flagship drifted powerless. "They couldn't have developed this technology so quickly." On his view screen appeared the face of Commander Harper. "We didn't," she explained. "We simply modified your technology and approached the problem differently. Your ships are disabled, not destroyed. Your crews are unharmed. We could have killed you all, but that's not our goal." "What do you want?" Draz demanded. "A conversation," Harper replied. "A real one this time." 3 days later, the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council was in uproar. The 7th Fleet, pride of the Council Armada, had been neutralized without a single casualty on either side. More shocking, the humans had sent a small vessel directly to the Council hub, somehow navigating the FTL corridors without a proper dry system. The vessel carried just 3 humans, Commander Harper, Dr. Cheng, and Secretary General Chen. This council stands on the precipice of a momentous decision. Chen addressed the assembled representatives, her voice steady despite the hundreds of alien eyes fixed upon her. You can continue trying to contain humanity, spending ever-increasing resources on a futile effort, or you can embrace a new type of relationship, one based on mutual respect rather than paternalism. Ambassador Thielen's skin pulsed with agitation. Your species has proven its dangerous nature by infiltrating our most secure networks and neutralizing our fleet. Without taking a single life, Harper interjected. If we were the warmongers you fear, your fleet would be destroyed, not temporarily disabled. Dr. Cheng stepped forward, activating a holographic display. We've prepared a proposal for a new type of relationship, not as protectorate, but as research partners. We offer an exchange program, our unique perspective on problem-solving for access to galactic knowledge. The chamber fell silent as the council members considered this unprecedented proposal. No species had ever suggested an alternative to the established order. High Arbiter Vexilon finally spoke, his crystalline form refracting the chamber's light. How can we trust that humanity will not use advanced technology for destructive purposes? Secretary General Chen smiled. The same way we trust that you won't use your power to subjugate us, through transparency, verification, and mutual interest. We don't want to conquer the galaxy, Arbiter. We want to explore it, understand it, and perhaps help solve problems that have puzzled even the Council. Senior Ambassador Kuntera moved to the central platform. Esteemed members, I have studied human history extensively. Their capacity for violence is matched only by their capacity for cooperation when properly motivated. I believe this proposal deserves serious consideration. As debate raged through the Council, Shen approached Kuntera privately. You've been advocating for a different approach to Earth all along, haven't you? Kuntera's facial tentacles curled in the equivalent of a smile. Let's just say I recognize that trying to contain human ingenuity was like trying to hold back an ocean with a net. Some forces are better channeled than constrained. One standard cycle later, the Council narrowly approved a modified version of Earth's proposal. The research partner classification was created specifically for humanity, acknowledging their unique approach to problem-solving, while establishing safeguards that both sides could accept. As the Earth delegation prepared to return home, Grand Admiral Zurak approached Commander Harper. You realize this changes everything, he rumbled. The Council has never admitted a non-protectorate species to galactic affairs. Harper nodded. Sometimes the universe needs change, Admiral. Stagnation is just death in slow motion. And if this experiment fails, he pressed, then we'll all learn something. She replied with a characteristically human smile. Isn't that the point? As their ship departed the Council hub, Dr. Cheng turned to Harper. Do you think this will actually work? Centuries of galactic tradition don't change overnight. Secretary General Chen answered instead, gazing at the stars visible through the viewport. It has to work. For the first time in Council history, they've encountered a species that won't be contained, won't be controlled, but also won't accept isolation. We've given them only two choices, adapt or fight. And despite their fears about human nature, they've chosen to adapt. Harper smiled. The irony isn't lost on me. Their greatest fear was that we'd disrupt the galactic order, and in trying to prevent it, they guaranteed it would happen. As Earth came into view, Chen added softly, humanity's greatest strength has never been our technology or our warcraft. It's our audacity, our absolute refusal to accept limitations. The Council feared that quality, but they'll soon discover it's exactly what the galaxy needs.